This is a story that I call The Ripped Picture. It's a little story that my mama told me that took place just a few months after her and Daddy got married. You see, they moved to Texas, where Daddy got a good paying job working with the railroad. Another young couple they knew also went, and Mama and this other man's wife became good friends. They would spend most of their days together while their men folks were at work. They'd share recipes and talk about homemaking and stuff such as that. They were both newlyweds. One day, they decided they'd go shopping and buy themselves a new outfit. Something special to cook for supper, some wine and candles, and they'd surprise their husbands that night when they got home from work with a romantic dinner. It weren't no special day or nothing like that. They just felt like it would be a fun thing to do. So they went to town and they had fun trying on different things until they each found a new outfit that they liked. They picked up some steaks and some wine and some candles and flowers and whatnot, to make the table more pretty and set the mood. So they got back to Mama's house in plenty of time to do each other's hair and nails, and they laughed and giggled and talked about how surprised and happy their husbands were going to be when they got home. After a while, Mama's friend went home to cook and get things set up in her own house for her husband. Well, after her friend left, Mama said she set about preparing her delicious meal. It smelled really good cooking, she said, and she made sure things were right by using the taste test. She also decided to make Daddy's favorite dessert, which was banana pudding. She was a new bride, but she knew how to cook all right, 'cause she had 7 younger brothers and sisters she had helped her mama take care of when she was growing up. So she set the table real nice and purty with her best dishes. She used her best linens. She set out 2 pretty wine glasses, and with the flowers and candles, she said everything was starting to come together, and it was looking very inviting and romantic. With the food ready and the table set and the wine chilling, she said she still had plenty of time to get her bath and get ready in her new outfit. She thought she looked real nice in her new pink dress that had pretty pink flowers on it and the matching heels she had bought. She added some sweet smelling perfume that she knew was Daddy's favorite and just a touch of makeup. She made sure her hair was just right with its soft, pretty curls, and when she was satisfied, she went back to check on everything in the kitchen, and it was all looking mighty fine. She said, so she thought, well, the stage is set now. When he gets home, he's going to be so surprised and pleased. When it was about time for him to be there, she went ahead and lit the candles. She put some soft music on in the background, and she sat down a minute to rest and wait for him to get home. Finally, he comes walking through the front door. Boy, was he surprised. He was speechless, to tell the truth. She watched his eyes as she led him to the table and helped him sit down. Then all of a sudden, he found his voice. He started yelling in an angry tone, "Where did all this stuff come from? Where did you get that dress? Are those new shoes?" Well, that certainly wasn't the reaction she had been hoping for. She said defensively, "I bought it with the money you gave me." He screamed, "Well, that money was for you to pay the bills with. You'll just have to take it all back. Take it all back tomorrow, every bit of it." She said she was dumbfounded. What in the world had gotten into him? She'd never seen him act like this before. Well, he just sat there, and she just stood there, trying not to cry. Then he began to fill up his plate with food, and reached for his fork to begin to eat, as if he hadn't just blown up and acted like a fool. Well, that did it. Now, if you knew my mama, you'd know she was as kind and gentle a soul as you'd ever want to meet, but you sure didn't want to get her dander up. If if you got her temper riled up, well, it was something to be reckoned with. She had watched and waited for him to get his plate full, and just when he was about to take a bite, she snatched up his plate and crashed it to the floor, food and all. Then she picked up the bowl of banana pudding and turned the whole thing upside down right on top of his head. She didn't say a word, but turned round and walked calmly into the bedroom, changed clothes into her everyday wear, and walked back into the living room. She picked up a picture setting on the mantel. It was a picture of her and Daddy taken together, and she ripped it in half, clean down the center, and threw it on the floor. Then she walked out the front door, letting it slam behind her. There was a railroad track not far from the house, so she walked to it, took off her wedding ring, and threw it as far as she could throw it onto the tracks. It was getting dark by then, and she sat down on the ground and started to cry. Well, you can bet my Daddy was in shock. He didn't know what to do. What the tarnation had he done wrong? Well, he thought about it a little while, and he knew he was in hot water. But he also knew he loved Mama, and she was more important to him than any amount of money, regardless of the purpose of it. So he had a mighty big task ahead of him to convince her of that. He found her sitting there crying by the tracks, and he said he felt like the worst cad that ever lived. He apologized to her, told her she could keep it all, and how pretty she looked in that new dress. He told her next time to just cook him a big old pot of crow. Well, they made up, of course, or I wouldn't be here telling you this story. They ended up having 4 children and being married 49 years before God separated the two of them here on this earth. That same picture sits on my mantel now with a distinctive line right smack down the middle where Mama glued it back together. What a story it tells. But ain't that how life is? We make mistakes, and we fix 'em and learn from 'em. But though they spent many hours looking for it, they never did find the wedding ring. Finally Daddy said, "That's okay. Don't worry about it. We don't need no old ring to tell us we belong together. We both know it, and that's all that matters." So he nor Mama never wore wedding rings after that day. Daddy said they didn't need to prove nothing to the world, 'cause what they had was ordained by God, and it was everlasting, regardless of any old ring, and couldn't nobody take that from 'em. And that's my story, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for listening.